Welcome everybody to another episode of Behind the Name. This your boy Prince J. Ron, and I got my brother Boo Dilla. And today episode is another electrifying episode. Someone that I've been very inspired by. This person has been working very hard, been very consistent since day one. My sister, Lil Bit, but I call her Big Bit.
Come on, Big Bit.
I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And man, I want to just say thank you for this opportunity, for blessing us with your story today.
Thank you for having me.
Man, how you feeling, sis? How are you feeling?
Like the truth, I'm nervous a little bit, but I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna sit here and have these conversations. It feels good to be here. I'm honored that you feel like I deserve to be here right now. Because I look up to y'all. So for the fact that y'all feel like I deserve this makes me feel kind of good, you know?
Hey, for real, yo. So, man, I know a lot of people, you know, been waiting for this, waiting to hear your journey, to hear your story. So without further ado, I want to get straight into it. So before all the footwork in and performing with Footwork Kings and creation, before all of that, I want to go to your beginnings. So we're gonna go way back into time.
Way back.
Yeah. So I want to start off with what even got you into dance, and what started you off? Like, what started you with the love of dance?
So when I was 3, there was a tragedy that happened in my family, and it killed my grandpa. And my mother was in the car too. She did not die, but like she was not the same person, and it like messed her up. And you know, she was a new person to me. Like I feel like I didn't know her anymore. And with all of that going on, and my pops not being active in my life, my grandma felt like I needed to be in some type of activity. So she would try to get me to dance. She kept asking me if I wanted to, and she told, now I don't remember this, but this is what she told me. And I'm just going to assume that she's not going to lie about these things, you know?
Right, grandma ain't gonna lie to me.
So she said she kept asking me if I wanted to like join this dance school that all of my cousins went to, which is called Sammy Dyer School of Theater. And she said that I kept telling her no, and that I didn't want to do it. And in the process, I remember joining a gymnastics team at the Y, and I started taking swim classes at the Y and piano classes at Chicago State. And so I stopped. I don't really know why I stopped doing gymnastics, but I stopped doing swimming because it was the part where we had to jump in the water. And I didn't know that we was going to have to go under the water when we jumped in there, because I had never jumped in the water before. And so when I jumped in and I went under and I was traumatized, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I that scared me. I don't want to do it. And that's the reason why I don't know how to swim today. I could do something. I don't know if I would call it swimming. But I can only do it in water that I can stand up in.
Yeah, I was just about to say, is it standing in water? Or
I need to know, like, if I can stand up in the water. No, if I can stand up in the water, then I feel comfortable enough to try to swim from one side of the pool to the other. But if I can't stand up in it, like, nah, I don't really go past 4 feet of water.
Right, we ain't rocking. We ain't rocking with that, sis. Right.
So then that happened, and then she took me to another Sammy Dyer show, and this is like 1996 or 7 or whatever. And then she told me that I was finally like, okay, I'll go, because, you know, I guess I was tired of her asking, and I was just like, okay, I'll do it. And so she took me. I went to Semi Dyer. I started at the age of 7.
Wow.
And the moment that I put on my tap shoes and walked into tap class, and they started class, I'm like, okay, I could get into this. I want to do this. But it was a requirement to take ballet in order to take anything. Now, for some reason, I just didn't want to take ballet, but I was very intrigued by tap. And I'm like, all right, well, if I got to do ballet, I'll do ballet. There's nothing wrong with having some ballet training. So then as I started off with tap and ballet, and then the next year, I think I added gymnastics back to that. And then I wasn't old enough to take jazz at the school yet. And then when I got old enough, I started taking jazz also. And at this point, so it's 97, at this point, it's like 2000. And in 2001, I got a new tap teacher, which was Brill. And he, Brill is over Mad Rhythms, and he told my grandma to bring me to Mad Rhythms practice, because he had started this new group, and he, I guess, saw some potential in me in class, because this was the first, like, I knew who he was because he taught there before, but this was the first time that he was my teacher. Because before him I had Sharon and Idella, and so this was my first male teacher. And, he told my grandma to bring me to practice. So one day she's trying to take me to practice. I'm like, do you think we should go? Like, it's almost, so I guess rehearsal at this time for Mad Rhythms was 6 to 10. This was in the very beginning stages of Mad Rhythms, like the very beginning, like I think it started in January, and this is still January that this is happening.
Right, super early.
And so I'm like, we don't really have to go. I'm pretty sure practice is almost over. Maybe we could try next time. My grandma wasn't trying to hear any of that. And she took me to the rehearsal anyway. And that was the start of me taking tap more serious than just doing it once a week, which was at Semi Dyer. And so now I'm tapping at Semi Dyer, and I'm tapping on, at the time, Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays, I want to say, because we still have rehearsal on Sunday. We've been having rehearsal on every Sunday since 2001, guys. Like,
dang, Sunday, that's work.
More than likely, I'm going to have Mad Rhythms practice. And so that was just, so like transitioning from a dance school to a professional dance company at such a young age, because at the time, so I started when I was 7 and I joined when I was 11. So to me, I feel like, okay, I'm moving pretty quickly on this journey, like in a professional company at 11, and I just started when I was 7. But it was some type of connection with me in dance that it just flows with me. Like, I didn't really have struggles that I remember too much when it came to me, learning tap, and just like being in tap class, and just, advancing to the next level. Like, I moved up a class each year, and that was really quick. They stopped moving me up once I was just like, I kept moving up, but they like, okay, she's too young to be in this class.
So they started slowing you down, not because of skill, but because of your age. Even though your skill was evolving you to the next level, they was like, okay, she too young now.
Because it was like, I'm 11. They not finna, or 12, they're not about to put me in the advanced class with the folks that's probably like 16 and 17 and stuff. Even though I would do it, like if I had students that I felt like needed to be in that class. But, I'm not one that is in a hurry to rush the process, because obviously, there's still more that I can learn in this level. Whatever level I'm in, I'm gonna, take that class
and grow.
And so that took me, so then I had a lot of different things in the tap world that, was different than dance school world. And so tap festivals, I'm doing tap shows, I'm meeting the greats in tap dance that, at a young age, I didn't even know what I was getting myself into and like the people that I was surrounding myself with. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, yo, these are some of the greats in this. You know, I don't know, like I'm 11, 12. Right. Like, and so it's like now I feel really like I'm thankful for that experience, because now I feel like I grew up in the tap world, and I met a lot of people that are like family to me, because maybe they like, I've taken a lot of greats classes and we kept that relationship. Like a lot of people loves Mad Rhythms. Whenever someone mentions Chicago, they be like, oh, hit up Mad Rhythms. So it's like now I have, you know, a family ship with these people, and I feel like I grew up in that. So like the tap world is my family. And then so that was my journey. And then in 2009, Mad Rhythms and Footwork Kings were in a show together called The One. In a show together, and I think that is when Brill and Lady Soul made a connect. And the agreement was we perform at the Take Flight DVD release thing, and they will perform at the Mad Rhythm show in October also. Now I had already seen Chicago Footwork just from being a dancer. I had been to gym shows. We had done performances at shows with like other groups that would footwork at the end of, you know, their shows. You know, they do the routines, and at the end, the juke music, the tracks come on, and they start bobbing or they start footworking. You know how that goes. And so I had seen, I'm from Chicago, so I was very familiar with what footwork was, but I wasn't doing it. Like, I was like, it's so fast. Like, I like Irk and Jerks. I don't even know if at the time I knew they were called Irk and Jerks, but I was like, I like that step. So I probably had always tried to do an Irk and Jerk, but I don't know. Like, I might just be talking right now. That was so long ago. So it's back to 2009. So the Take Flight show was first. So they came, and they were both at Harold Washington. So we were there and we were watching them tech. And I'm
like a tech rehearsal?
Like a tech rehearsal.
Okay.
And because we were there for our tech, but we were waiting to go. And so I'm someone that can learn, like I can watch something over and over again. And if I watch it enough times, I can pick it up. Like, I'm not going to say for every style, but like anything that has to do with feet, like tap, footwork, you know, I have great foot coordination. So it doesn't really take me a long time to pick up anything to do with the feet.
Like a sponge.
You know, soak it all up. So I watched them over and over again, and it was me and Star. So me and Star because Star kind of learns like I do. And so we kind of learned the routine, but I wasn't going to say anything. So that was that. I watched them do it a lot, because I had never, like I said, I had seen footworking, but it wasn't to this capacity. And I was like, I've never seen it like this before.
So while watching that practice tech rehearsal, you picked up and learned the routine.
Some of it. I'm not gonna say I had the whole routine, but like,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like basically it's just like you was able to catch on to the steps.
Yeah, like after seeing it, I probably could have been able to do maybe like 2 8 counts of it or something like that
without nobody teaching you it.
Right, like it just watching. I mean, I probably would have had questions, because since I wasn't familiar with how to do it, I probably would have been like, what is the right way to execute this step? Like, you know, what is this, or what is the connection? How do I connect this step to this step? I probably would have asked something like that, but, you know, I was just like, I'm not going to say nothing. So then it's come time for our show. And now we have a school show, and then we have the main show. So they perform the same number in the school show. I don't remember what happened in the main show, but they performed the same number in the school show. So I finally got up the courage, because this was not the first time that I had met them. So Mad Rhythms and Footwork Kings have been doing shows together sporadically, like since 2007, 2008. So I knew some of them already just from seeing them, you know, at the shows. So I went up to and I'm not digging in my nose. I was fixing my nose ring just in case it looked like I was doing that. So after the school show, you know, I had a little courage. I walked up to, I feel like, who was standing there? I think it was TJ, Basic, and Chemo, maybe, that was standing there. Okay. Or it was TJ, Basic, and somebody. I feel like it was Chemo. And so I'm like, look, y'all, Now, it's not the greatest, but look what I learned from watching y'all practice. And then I think maybe I had a little video because I was recording them to maybe post on like Facebook. And I think I like watched the video a couple of times to make sure I knew what I was talking about before I went to them to either make a fool of myself or not. So I showed them, I think it was the Madonna, not the Madonna dance. It was the one that y'all did to 4 minutes.
Okay.
4 minutes before, right before the Paramore song came on. Before that one. The dance that come before that. So I'm like, look, y'all. So I show them and they like, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, but we ain't got to talk about it. I just wanted to show y'all, now I'm gonna keep it moving. So then we fast forward to the main show, which is the next day. And I had just got off stage. I'm walking to the dressing room to change into my next costume for the next dance. And I just so happen to be walking past as TJ is walking past and as Charles is walking past. And so TJ stops me and he stops Charles and he like, show him what you know. I said, what? Like, why would you put me on the spot like that? Like, nah, I'm good. Like, that was for y'all. We wasn't supposed to talk about it again. We weren't. Now Charles is joining. I feel like I gotta say that part over again.
Divine timing.
Oh yeah, he left. Oh no, he's there. So yeah, I'm walking past and he's like, show Charles what you know. So I'm like, why would he say that? Like, now I feel put on the spot. I'm almost borderline embarrassed because I'm scared, and I don't be getting scared to dance, but I'd be like, I don't footwork. And he wants me to show this man that can footwork his ass off the routine that they probably made up together. And I don't do this. And I was like, let me think about that. I'm going to go change into my next costume and then I'll find you before it's time for me to go on stage again. So now I'm in the dressing room. I'm in the dressing room. I'm sweating. I'm walking back and forth like, now I got to show this man something that I don't even know how to do. And he's probably going to talk about me. I don't know him like that. Like, I know him, but I don't know him. And so I changed and I came out the room. I was like, okay, he wants me to show you. I'm going to show you. So here you go. And so I showed him like the routine, the 4 minutes routine. And so he was looking at me and I didn't know if it was a good look or a bad look. So I'm like, shit, did I just embarrass myself? Like he's not saying anything. And I'm like, okay. And so then he's like, wait, let me see you do this step. And I feel like maybe he threw me a dribble or something. And then I did it. So then he like, let me see you do this step. And I'm like, okay. And I did it. And so then I went to go do the whatever the next dance I had. And I came back and I found him again. And I was like, can I learn something else? Because now I'm intrigued. Now I'm intrigued because nobody ever told me it was bad. And if he's telling me to show him, like, he's telling me for a reason to show him. So I'm like, all right, let me just see what's up. So then after the show, we're chopping it up and he's like, you should come to creation practice. And, you know, at this time, all I know is Footwork Kings. I don't know nobody else. So I was like, what's that? Like, I don't know what that means. And so he's like, it's the battle click. And I was like, battle click? Like, I don't battle. Like, I learned the dances and I perform them. And then if I have to improvise or as y'all call it, freestyle, then I do that. Like, this was something that I was like, tap dancers, we have a thing called cutting contest, but it's nowhere near how aggressive it is or just, it's nowhere near the same thing. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So then I was like, bet. So this is in October. This is probably, I think maybe the end of October. And we hit November and I think Star was supposed to come with me and I was nervous. And it was like, practice was on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Gage Park at this time. Mm-hmm. And she couldn't go and I was scared to go by myself. So I'm like, I hit up Charles and I was like, we can't make it this week, but we'll be there next week. My very first day of practice was November 9th, 2009 or November 10th. One of those. It was a Tuesday or Thursday. And I'm like, so I went and I think they were rehearsing for a show or something. And Charles was like, y'all can, you know, learn these routines. And then so they would work on the routine. Then they would battle. And then like while they were working on the routine, they put like this chair in the middle of the floor. Now this is no longer Footwork Kings. This is creation practice.
Right.
And so they put this chair in the middle of the floor, and it was like a slow jam playing, and they was all like acting like they was giving this chair to business, like on some slow dance and stuff. And then like there's this beat drop, and I kid you not, they all, like the whole group runs to the chair and like starts beating the chair's ass. I was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? And like creation is crazy. Pun intended. So I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I like it, so I will be back. And but it was like the battling aspect is what made me nervous because I wasn't familiar with it. I wasn't used to it, you know, and I'm coming into a world that's totally different from the world that I'm used to.
Like yin yang.
So November, you know, I'm learning whatever. Charles would take me home, and sometimes we'd spend 2 hours outside of my house, and he would be talking to my grandma, and I would be working on whatever steps he gave me. And then like some weekends, if I would go to his house, then different members of creation would come over there and like practice with me or whatever. So I feel like I am a product of creation. When people be like, who talking about cold strawberries? Sorry. So I feel like I'm just a product of creation. I will say Charles was my main teacher, but creation taught me. Like I've learned something from everybody in creation. Like, you know, everybody. And so December comes around and I'm like, okay, they battle at every practice. I'm like, I'm gonna try to get out there and see what's up. Still did not know what was really going on. So I got out there, whatever side I was on. Now, mind you, I'm not thinking about sides because in my mind, we're all creation. So I'm not even thinking about side versus side. So I go out there and then I hit some move that I guess kind of turns me around and I'm facing the other side now, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, okay, what step am I going to hit next? Because for me, I was like, when in doubt, I'm going to just tap dance it out. Because at this point, I don't have, you know, a very big footwork vocabulary. Have a very big tap vocabulary, but I didn't have a big footwork vocabulary. So then I hear somebody say, oh, so that's what you want? Had no clue what they were talking about because I was like, did I do something wrong? Like, what is he talking about? They're like, well, if you come out on this side, like you're on our side, you can't just be turning around. I'm like, I didn't know. I thought we was all together at creation practice. You know, I ain't know nobody.
Direct your energy to the right side, to the opposing side.
So this is December. I go out with creation to Secrets. And, you know, I'm thinking that we're just going out.
Club Secrets.
Just have a good time. And I was like, okay, I guess, you know, I'm part of creation now and we're going out. Little did I know that they were about to throw me to the wolves, literally. I had no clue that I was about to have my first battle at Secrets. And, you know, my adrenaline was rushing so much that I didn't have time to even be nervous and be like, oh, shit, what? After the fact, I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you not tell me that I was about to do that? Why would you just put me in that situation? Had no clue. But something about it still had me intrigued. So I wanted more. So that's December, and now we roll over into January.
So wait, I got a question. Do you feel that by just being thrown out and doing it, do you feel that helped you grow? Because if not, you'd have been indecisive. But am I ready? Am I not? Am I ready? But just
no, I definitely still felt like I wasn't ready. But I was like, if I'm in creation, I don't have a real choice, and I'm gonna just have to get over it and do it.
And push
I don't like it. Like, it makes me nervous. It gives me anxiety. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you still to this day. But I know like it's something that has to be done. So roll over to January. Now we're in 2010. I've only been footworking for 2 months at this time. And Havoc had their party at Rich City.
Oh yeah.
And Charles was like, this is your first footwork party. Don't footwork. We're just going. I want you to fill out the scene. I want you to understand how this works. I want you to see, everything that's going down. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And so I walk in. Of course, I see the guys doing their thing. But I remember standing there and I saw Crystal come in and she spotted a girl in the circle from across the room and like stormed up to the circle because she was about to get on that with whoever was in the circle. And I guess whoever it was somebody from her group or her friend. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, dang, she was like, finna get on that with that girl. And I was like, oh my God, is this what I'm really getting myself into? I was like, okay, cool. So I went up to Charles. I was like, and should I still not dance? And he was like, no, just learn this time. Like, just learn. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I just walked around the different circles, seeing what's going on. And I was like, I never knew, like, outside of the gym shows and outside of me seeing Footwork Kings perform at places, I'm like, I never knew that all of this existed this deep. Like, I'm like, there's a whole world like it is for tap. And I was like, this is crazy because I feel like they, there's such a big comparison in so many ways, but then there's so many differences in so many ways. So now we're in January and Creation like, yeah, we finna go to BG's. And I was like, what's that? And they like, it's Battlegrounds. It's basically where all the footworkers go. So it's kind of like the Havoc party, but it's not a party. It's just where people go to kick a leg and it happens every Sunday at the time, I believe.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And this is when it was on 87. Because there was 2 locations on 87th, and then there was another one on like 83rd in South Chicago, and I remember that building too. But I think this one was on 87. And so I walk in with Creation, and I was like, y'all, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm nervous. I don't want to do this because I walked in, and I'm looking at everybody, and they looking at me, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Fresh meat.
I look at my group, they like, you got us, we here, we with you. What'd you say?
Fresh meat.
Listen,
everybody
I was
like,
okay.
No Creation members, but who was that? Who was that person hiding behind everybody else's body? We gotta see through the cracks.
And it's so funny that you say I was hiding because Brill always tells this story of when I first got introduced to improvisation, he said that I would hide. So I'm going to assume that when I started dancing, I did not like soloing or, improvising because I don't know, it just terrified me. So I get there and they like, just dance a little bit. I'm like, okay, my Instagram name, no pun intended that time. And so Reese gets on the phone and calls Crystal and tells her that there is a girl here. Now, mind you, I already know Crystal because I met her at the Footwork King show because we tapped at it. So we already knew each other. And so when she came and she saw it was me, she said, what's good? She said all of that, but it's like, I know she's still on the other side. And I was like, oh, I know that if I go, she's gonna go, and then I'm gonna have to go again. And I don't want to do this. But if I'm gonna be in Creation, I have to do it. And so then that happened. So of course, me and her, we got in the circle and then we chopped it up after. And I was like, that was one of the hardest moments of my dance career. Like not career, but like just in my dance life and on my dance journey. I said that was a bump that I had to get over. And I was like, okay. And they be like, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. That is a lie to some things. Because no, it did not get easier. I never wanted to do it. It always gave me anxiety. But I was like, I'm going to have to do it. Or I'm probably going to get kicked out if I don't.
I'm so glad you did. You started overcoming those mountains.
But then like it just kept getting crazier. So then in March, Rich and Tone came to do the Footwork documentary. And there was this big battle at Clarendon Park. And there was another one on 100, either 11th or 15th and Halsted. Yep. Now, I wasn't really nervous about that one because it was like so many. It wasn't like just me and somebody. Mm-hmm. So, but the one at so I'm watching the one at Clarendon Park and it's Crystal versus Bonnie. And I don't know what ended up happening, but Nisha was like, Lil Bit, go get in that battle. And I was like, that ain't my battle. Why would I go get in that battle? And so she like, just go get in the battle. And I'm like, why would I do that? And I feel like Charles was like, yeah, or something like that. And I was like, oh God. Okay. And so then that happened. I can't, that was a while ago. So I can't really tell you how it ended up, but I got in it. And, you know, I felt like I was, not that I was actually holding my breath the whole time, but it's like, you know, when you get that feeling of relief when something is just over. And that was how I felt afterwards. And so, you know, I was really struggling with the idea of just battling, whether it was in public or at creation practice. Like, I just didn't want to do it. And when we would do it at creation practice, it would take me a while to like get up and get on one of the lines. Yeah. And Charles did not like that. Like, Charles was like, he was not rocking with it. And he was like, I bet. And so I think I had went to the bathroom and I came back from the bathroom. And this was the day that I got battled into creation. And it was me versus everybody, like anybody in. And I was just like, everybody don't even normally be at practice. I'm like, so y'all just all happen to be at practice this day? everybody. So then Mike D, like, man, I'm finna go on her side. I ain't finna let y'all do her like this. But of course, he still had to get his round in on the other side before he came to my side. So then he came to my side and he, like, you know, we battled the other side. And I was like low key pissed because I was just like, I'm not used to this. I don't like how it makes me feel on the inside. Like, some people love it, and I never liked how it made me feel on the inside. And it could have been really because it was something that I wasn't used to, but I was like, man, if I'm gonna be around, then I guess I'm gonna have to like figure this out. So, you know, at that point, I was starting to go to like BGs on Sundays, and then y'all started the Panic Room on Fridays. So then I would be going to BGs, and at this point, it went from like 87 to 83rd, then back to 87th, and then Panic Room was like on 111th or something at the center. Yeah, and so then I was going there. I was going there every Friday until they left, and y'all just weren't having it anymore. But I liked. BG's was nice, but I felt like it was so aggressive there. And Panic Room, like, yeah, it was the same footworkers, but I guess maybe the atmosphere like the scenery, it just made me feel better, you know. So you know, that was that. And
so when you started getting your battle side sharpened on that side, on the footwork world. So from there, wasn't that around the time when you started also from going from there, when did you start with the actual performance with Footwork Kings?
That was around, so what was that? That was April 2000. I want to say it was April 2011. Maybe April 2011. Cause like me, I'm a performer. I can perform my ass off. Like, I will give you a show. And it was just like the other aspects that I had to, you know, get used to. But it's like the same in tap. Like, we have cutting contests, which is like a tap battle, but it doesn't always make me feel the greatest. Like, that gives me anxiety too. But yeah, I started performing with Footwork Kings after ABDC, which was April of 2011. And it's so crazy because had you asked me the day before I started footworking, if I saw footworking in my life, it would have been a no. I'm like, I hadn't even thought about footworking before I started. And then it was like, once I started, you know, here I am. So many years later.
Dang. And it's interesting because when you first showed yourself doing Chicago footwork, it was to Footwork Kings in the middle of us doing in that showcase that we was doing with Mad Rhythms. And then years later, now you're actually performing with Footwork Kings. That's crazy.
That took
me and was the only girl.
That took me a long time to get. Well, first, just being in the group with them because I was a fan. So I was like, not necessarily intimidated, but I was just like, wow, I'm dancing with these guys now. And I don't really know how to handle it, but I'm gonna go with it and we're gonna see where it ends up at. That was a crazy journey, but you know, it pushed me to feel like I need to work harder so that I'm not looked at as weaker just because I'm a woman. Because I feel like women, you know, off bat, they look at us as weaker, especially when it's like predominantly male. And it's just like, you know, so I'm like, I can keep up. Whatever y'all give me, I can keep up. Y'all gonna teach me this choreography and I'm gonna do this show, you know. So yeah, that's crazy. That was a long answer, my bad.
No, represent for the ladies, because like you said, like a lot of people don't understand what that, you know what I'm saying, what type of pressure comes with that, you know. So I mean, for those that know, like shout out to Lady Soul, like Footwork Kings was basically a assembly of Chicago footworkers, like top notch footworkers from the west side, south side, you know. So having a female in it, you know, like it ain't like you was just with some rinky dink footworkers, like you with some of the best of the best. So yeah, that take a lot. And you was just now coming into the culture too. So it's like you had to work twice as hard.
And you know, I didn't really feel like I was deserving of it at the time because I'm like, I just got here. It's so many girls that was here first that, you know, I'm like, why don't they have this opportunity? I'm like, I still have learning to do. I still have training to do. You know, I still have studying to do. You know, I felt like somebody else should have been in that spot. And I'm like, well, dang, since it's me, let me make sure that I'm doing what I got to do because, you know, not only did I want to make creation happy, I wanted to make the women happy that there is a woman that, you know, is being able to do this. And, you know, a Black woman at that. So, you know, I felt like it was a lot of pressure, but I'm not one that folds under pressure. Like if I'm under pressure, I work harder. So yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
Dope. So after that, so after all of that, you know, doing, you know, American ABDC and things like that, then from there, what did you end up doing? What was the next part of your journey?
I started teaching with after school. So I was already teaching tap with After School Matters. And then I started teaching, me and Paul's actually started teaching together. We had a footwork program. I mean, we did more than footwork, but it was, we started teaching. And then I taught for a long time while, you know, still performing with Mad Rhythms. Performing with creation. I don't remember if at this time Footwork Kings was still performing because I feel like this might have been after Footwork Kings was over. So then we started performing. I started performing with creation, and then we linked up with Chance and did Sunday Candy, and then we started doing shows with Chance, and then, you know, choreographing for him.
Well, with Chance the Rapper, for those around the world that may not know who Chance is.
And then I started like getting into my own space where I was trying to figure out how I could connect the two worlds, tap and footwork, because I'm like, I'm the only footworker that tap dances and I'm the only tap dancer that footworks. So I felt like it was up to me to connect that bridge. And so I that was a journey that I was on for a while because people would often ask me like, why don't you just mix? And I was like, well, I want to have a bigger footwork vocabulary before I start doing that so that I don't become dependent on one or the other. Like I've been training in tap for years, so I'm like, I would like to train more in footwork and before I try to connect the two. So then I probably started trying to figure it out maybe like 2015, 2016-ish. And that was when I put out my first video to DJ Clint's Bounce, which was with the African, the tap, and the footworking. And then I started trying to figure out how to, instead of putting it in sections, how I can make it mesh a little more. So then I would start creating like combos around tap steps.
Ooh, those some diamonds. You were speaking some
If that
diamonds.
makes sense. So I would start to try to create combos around tap steps and to see where that would get me. So, you know, and that's still a road that I feel like I'm on because I'm learning something new every day, you know. So yeah, that's that.
Hey, them some diamonds right there. Making sure you understand and train in one foundation and then start to blend and start mixing things that you already know previously. Because, like you said early in the beginning of your journey, you already started getting a little bit introduced to ballet and other things like that to incorporate when you started learning tap. So now, while you learn Chicago footwork, you're able to incorporate all these other skills that you got under your belt. So, man, that's work right there. It ain't easy. It is not easy.
But it definitely was not easy. But knowing just what I went through as a child, and you know, most people would have probably like gave up, but that was the very reason that I felt like I needed to keep going, because when I didn't feel like I had anything or anybody to turn to, the dance was always there. The dance is always there. You know, the dance never goes anywhere. The dance never disappoints. You know, it's healing. You know, it's a healing. It was a healing process, and to learn as I'm going on this journey, like I kind of feel like I grew up with the dance. I matured with the dance. You know, I prayed about the dance. I prayed with the dance.
Hey, that's a whole. Hey, it's all there. Everything is there.
And you know, footworking. For me, it was never about, oh, I need to be the best. I don't have to be the best. Like I've never called myself the queen of footwork. That those words have never left my mouth. I didn't feel the need to have to be called that. I wanted to be the best that I could be, and I wanted to do right by my group, my teacher, the culture. Like I never wanted to disrespect nothing about the culture or anybody in either culture. You know, so I'm always a student first. I'm never too good to feel like I'm too good to learn something, you know.
Diamonds. I hope people out there taking notes, man, because Lil Sis out here dropping gem after gem. So, man, so you after doing that work and stuff with Chance and teaching with Pauls, what else did your career start to lead you towards?
Let me think, because now you finna make me think back.
Well, because I mean, it's
so that was that. I left for 6 months to go dance on a cruise ship, and they had me singing on the cruise ship too. So I was singing and dancing. I taught a footwork class, you know, and they loved that. But I was mainly tap dancing and singing. And I missed Chicago. I missed everything about it. And I think the first thing I went to when I came back was like the Beat Down picnic or something like that. I was like, I just need to be around Chicago people. I need to be around some tracks. You know, I went there. And then the first half of the year, I can't really remember what was going on there. But then like in July, so that was 2018. So then July of 2019, I started like getting booked. I ended up doing Good Morning America with Chance. And then he did Eternal, and me and Paul's choreographed that for him when they went on the Ellen show.
Dope.
And I got booked to represent footwork with Missy on the VMAs. And you know, that was one thing that I like. I understand that battling is one of the main things of, you know, footwork and the culture. But I'm like, I'm a performer, and if I can do my thing when it's time to perform, I'm gonna do my thing when it's time to perform. And it was a performance. So I was just like, okay, we get to do some choreo. and WAP the band. And I spoke on that, like when I was a sophomore, when Lose Control first came out, I was like a sophomore in high school. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna perform. And I wasn't even footworking at the time. And I was like, I'm gonna perform this song with her one day. Had no clue that it was really gonna happen. Because I had no clue that I was gonna ever be footworking. And, you know, that meant a lot to me because I'm like, I love being somewhere and having to carry like Chicago on my back. I love representing for Chicago whenever I have to. And for it to be with someone that I've always dreamed of dancing with as a child, like I grew up on Missy.
Hey.
You know, that was crazy. So then, yeah, we did the VMAs. It was me, Pauls, Blair, and this guy, Michael. He was in full effect. And then we came back, and then I got the call for Rolling Loud. We did Rolling Loud with Chance. And that was the end of 2019. So then we get into 2020, and I got a call to teach a class for Jordan for the All-Star. And then we performed with Chance at the All-Star game.
Fire, making history.
And then we did the Houston Rodeo with Chance. And then the world shut down. And I was like, man, I'm so glad that last show. And this is why I always feel like people should dance like they never know if that's going to be their last time of dancing or not. When I did that show, I had no idea that would be my last show for a while. And I would have been really disappointed in myself if I didn't go hard at that show. Like any show I do, I dance like I don't know if I'm going to get to do another show. And it just so happened that at this point, it was a long time before I ever got to do a show because the world was shut down. Venues weren't having things. So I was like, man, I'm glad that happened. But it was like the months of March to July, I feel like were my darkest months because it was like at this point, it's just me and God because I can't go to rehearsal. I can't get on a stage and perform. You know, it's kind of, we got to social distance, and it was really hard to social distance when you're in a social industry.
Right.
And I won't say that I was depressed because I wasn't depressed, but it was just like, I don't know that I've ever felt that low in my life. And it was the first time that I really had to experience my life. Like, yeah, I was teaching on Zoom and stuff, but it's just not the same. And it was the first time that I really experienced my life without really having the dance that active in it. And so I ended up moving, and I had moved into a new apartment. And then the world started opening up a little bit. We started back having practice. So then I started to feel better because now I'm like, I get to do what is me.
Yeah.
And you know, that happened. And then so in March before the world shut down, I had got a call about an audition. Now, I don't normally go to auditions because I feel like when you go to auditions as a tap dancer or maybe even as a footworker, 9 times out of 10, you don't get picked to go on the show. At least that's been my experience. So I wasn't even going to go. But I had a friend, ICL, he reached out to me like, Chris, he said he knows you from ABDC. He was one of the choreographers on there. He was like, he wants you to come to this audition. Tell Pauls to come. So it was like me, Pauls, Mike D, I think Chemo, and Marquise went to this audition. And so I went as a tap dancer and a footworker when it was time to freestyle, but we also had to learn some hip hop choreography.
Okay.
And I was like, thank God for going to a dance school and have some type of decent training in all styles.
Yep.
So, you know, I did that, and then it was time to freestyle. So then they put all the tap dancers together and we did our thing. Then they put all the footworkers together and we did our thing. Then the world shut. So then they called me. They was like, we want you to come. We want to call you back for the role of Tamra. And I was like, I didn't audition for that. And they were like, we know, but we want you to. So I'm like, okay. So then I went and I did the audition and they loved me. They had no clue. They thought I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. And I was like, oh, no. You might want to add a lot of years on to that. And they was like, no, seriously? I'm like, yeah. So then the world shut down. and I had heard nothing else about it. Like I forgot about it because, you know, I had been going through some other things, and I just had to keep myself lifted at a time where like me and God got extremely close during the beginning of this pandemic. It was just like, he was my best friend, because at that point, I didn't even feel like I had family that I could go to. Not for real. And I didn't really feel like I could go to them because they don't understand what it's like to live the artist life. Like y'all have the 9 to 5, and you know that you're gonna get this paycheck. You know that you're gonna have a job to go to the next day. You know that you're gonna have a job next week. You know that even if you don't go to work, you're still gonna get paid.
Crazy.
I'm like, as a dancer or just an artist in general, if your gig is canceled, that check is canceled. We don't get PTO. We don't still get paid if we don't do the gig. If the gig does not happen, we don't still get paid. You know, so I'm like, it's a rough life, and you gotta work hard to get booked, and then you gotta work even harder to stay booked. And then you could be going, and another reason why I kind of stopped going to auditions, like they could keep you to the end knowing that they don't want you anyway, and they just want to see what you can do. But I'm like, why would you waste my time and make me even think that I had a chance?
Yeah.
And I definitely experienced that living in LA, all them auditions. Man, I wanted to come home so bad. And I remember like going to the roof of the apartment that we lived in, and I was like, I just want to go home. I don't want to do this anymore. And then Pauls came up on the roof like, you gotta be strong. You gotta finish this out. And I'm like, man, all right. And then I ended up
finish strong.
Yeah, that was not a good experience. But I would love to go back and try again now that I'm older, and now that I have more wisdom in life and more wisdom about the industry, you know, further along in my career. So yeah, I forgot about the big leap, and then Comfort calls me like November of 2020. So mind you, the audition was March. So now we're in November, and she calls me just basically telling me to send her dancers Instagram profiles because she's here working on the big leap. So I immediately am heartbroken because I was like, dang, because then it reminded me, okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a bit. Just stay with me, y'all. So the first time that I had auditioned for something and I got rejected was I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance, and I made it all the way to the one before they send you to Vegas. I did not go to Vegas. I got cut right before the Vegas one.
Okay.
So I was heartbroken, but I was like, man, I ain't finna stop though. I'm definitely finna keep going. So then Mad Rhythms auditioned for America's Best Dance Crew. And no, we auditioned for America's Got Talent. And we made it all the way to the first TV round.
Okay.
And then after that, we got sent home, and then Mad Rhythms auditioned for America's Best Dance Crew. And we made it all the way to the contract stage, and then something happened. We never signed contracts. We never ended up on the show, which is why I felt like it had to be destined for whatever reason for me specifically to end up on America's Best Dance Crew, because it didn't happen with Mad Rhythms, but it happened with Footwork Kings, and I wasn't even in Footwork Kings.
Yeah.
Until like I had to join Footwork Kings to do America's Best Dance Crew, but MTV wanted me. They was like, y'all gotta bring that girl. And so I was like, okay, then maybe it's really meant for me to be on this show for whatever reason. Or maybe I'm supposed to meet somebody that's gonna, you know, at some point in my life, you know, help me out somewhere else. Which Chris was a choreographer.
I was just about to say, where's Chris? End up being with the audition.
But I hadn't talked to Chris. I hadn't seen Chris since 2011. Since we got sent home.
Your energy did enough.
Since we got sent home, that was the last time that I had seen Chris. And that same thing happened the show that I did on the cruise ship was after midnight. And one of the guys that came so I also auditioned for the actual Broadway show in New York, but I didn't get the part. But the guy that came to work on the cruise ship with us, which was probably like 5 years later, remembered me from the New York audition because of my presence and my energy. And I'm like, well, that's dope that I leave that kind of impression, you know, on people. Like, that's what I hope to always do. So fast forward, I ended up doing that same part though on the cruise ship. So, you know, I ended up still doing it. It wasn't in New York, but you know, I'll take it. So back to where we are. Fast forward to the present. So Comfort calls me and asks me to send her dancers, and I'm heartbroken because I'm like, man, I auditioned for the show. I didn't get no phone call. That's why I don't audition for shows. Then the next day, I get an email asking me not about a dancer role, but asking me my availability for the role of Tamara, which is what I auditioned, that I didn't even really audition for, but they called me back to audition for it. And I had to send in, so I had to do a self-tape. So I had called one of my friends over to be the other person that I had to act this out with, so I can not feel like I'm talking to myself. And that happened. I sent in the tape. I had until Sunday. This was like Friday. So I did all of these takes on Friday, and I looked at them all and I was like, I don't feel good about these. I need to do them all over again. So Saturday, I did them all over again. I did it. I was like, as long as I have 3 good takes that makes me feel good, then I'm Gucci. So I had 3 takes, and I kept going back through all the 3 takes, and I was like, I can't choose. I'm just about to send them all. And then they told me to send them footage of me dancing. So before I sent it, I prayed, and I was like, this role is mine. It has to be mine. And I'm going to go into this knowing that it is possible for me to get this role. It's possible for me to be on this show. And so I send it, and then I not immediately, maybe like within 10 minutes, get a response back like, yo, the producers love you. They want you to be Tamara, but now we have to send it over to the network, which was Fox/Disney, for approval. And so then she messages me back like 5 minutes after that. And she was like, congratulations. The network loves you. They want you to be Tamara. When I say I fell out on the floor and I just cried, because it was like 24 years of dancing and just trying and being consistent and not letting anything make me give up. I finally, you know, am getting the blessings that I've worked so hard for. I'm like, whether I'm footworking or tap dancing, this goes past either one of them and about any work I put in either style. I feel like it's really about hard work and consistency and just like being true to you in whatever it is that you're doing, and standing your ground in whatever it is that you're doing. And I was like, I'm finally feeling like I'm getting blessings, because for so long, you know, I was like, am I not good enough? Like, what am I not doing? Because I was feeling like for a while that everybody around me was getting booked and I was not. And, you know, like that hurts. It hurts to see, but it's like at the same time, you also have to balance your personal feelings about it and being happy for your friends that they are booking these gigs, you know, and that they are doing amazing on their journeys. And it was hard because, like, I will never forget when Footwork Kings auditioned for Willow's Fireball video and everybody got booked for me. My heart was hurt. Like, I was hurt. Y'all remember? I was hurt. Like, my eyes tearing up again just thinking about it, because it's like you want something
get
so
down with
bad,
with
and
everybody.
it's like right there in your face for you to grab, and then someone just snatches it out of your reach. And I was just like, no, I have to, like, I wanted to succeed as bad as I would need to breathe, as bad as I would want to breathe in a room with no oxygen. Like that is how bad I wanted to succeed, and I wanted to be successful in being an artist, because people feel like dancers can't make it. And I wanted to be that person that proved people wrong, for them and for me to know that I can do it, no matter what odds were against me, that I could do it. It's so much in my backstory that I haven't shared with the world, and one day maybe I'll find the words. But it's all for that. And, you know, to get that message, it was like, yo, okay, we finna do this. So then we start working on the pilot, which is December of 2020. And then people started testing positive for COVID. So they shut down production. And I was like, man, I hope this is not something that's happening again where I'm thinking that I have this opportunity and it's getting snatched away. Like too much of that has happened. But I'm like, you know, whatever's going on, I have faith that everything will work out.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we ended up finishing the pilot in February. We finished the whole pilot. We found out in May that the pilot got picked up. And I was like, okay, cool. But I still hadn't gotten an email. So then I got an email saying, we want to know, congratulations, the show has been picked up. We want to know if you're available for the role of Tamra for the season. And I'm like, okay, cool. Bet it up. So, you know, COVID is still a thing. They're testing us. And then we start hearing about the vaccine mandates. And I was like, dang. And I was like, I wonder if they're going to start saying that people can't work if they don't have it. And listen, this is where God comes in. Because I'm like, if it's meant for you to do something, if something is meant for you, nothing is gonna stop that. So they did have a mandate, and they were like, if you don't have the vaccine by this date, then you can't come to work. And this whole experience, because you know, people will be like, you need to be acting more, tell them they need to give you more camera time. And I was like, well, this is more so the acting industry, and you know, I'm not an actor. This is my first thing. So I have no problem, you know, starting at the bottom and working my way up, just like I did in dance. Yep. Like I didn't start off, you know, up here. I had to work my way up there. So I'm like, I have no problem with that. Like I'll work my way up over there. They're like, okay, cool. So then the day comes and it's like, it has to be mandated by this time. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And I submitted for a religious exemption to be able to work without having the vaccine, but people were getting denied. And I was like, man, and people like, you know, that's a big risk to take. You might as well just get it. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I have to stand my ground on what I'm believing right now. You know, if ever in the future I decide to make that, and this is with me speaking at that time, I'm like, if ever in the future I decide to or whatever, then that'll be in the future. But right now, I'm not feeling it. And, you know, I don't feel like my body needs that in order to be healthy and remain healthy, you know. And so I submitted for the religious exemption. And, you know, I explained to them how I feel like my body doesn't need that and how I do things to heal my body and all of that. But they was denying everybody left and right. And I was like, man, they are not about to approve this. Everybody's getting denied. But God said, you are going to finish this.
You can't stop. You can't stop the divine, yo.
But they took so long and like my answers were genuine. Like everything that I told them about why I don't have it and why I was not interested in getting it was very true. You know, it was very true. I did not lie about anything just so I didn't have to get it. It was very true. So this was at the beginning of September. The date was October 18th that you had to have it by. And the beginning of September, I submitted it. And then I would keep messaging them because I wasn't hearing anything back. And I was like, man, they ain't gonna respond. They ain't saying nothing. They're not responding to me or anybody. Constantly messaging them. I got a message on October 16th. No, the 17th. So when I was at work on that Friday, which was October 14th or 15th, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have a job next week, but I was willing to risk it all for what I believed. You know, I was being true to me, and
true to you.
I don't think no amount of money is worth that.
Nope.
And so, you know, I was true to me. And that Sunday, before the Monday that it was mandated, I saw the notification pop up on the top of my screen, and it was like, it came from the people the Disney people that I was talking to, and my heart just dropped. I was like, I just know they about to tell me no. And I was already ready to cry. Because I mean, not cry, but I was going to be very disappointed because, of course, I wanted to do it. But, you know, it is what it is. I was at peace with my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened the email and it says, your exemption request has been approved. If I didn't care about breaking my phone, I would have threw my phone. I was so like, I screamed, I broke down, I cried for like 20 minutes because I was like, this was really meant for me and for me only. Because at the end of the pilot, I didn't have no strawberries. At the end of the pilot, I thanked the producer and I thanked the writer for even giving me the opportunity. And they were like, you know, nobody could be Tamara but you. Mm. And so to be faced with this at the end, because it was like at this point, it was one episode left. And I was like, man, I don't really want to miss the finale, but I got to stand my ground with this one because it's really what I believe. And they was like, it has been approved. This is what you have to do. I'm like, man, I'll do that. I still get to keep my job. So exactly. Then I went to work. You know, I finished out the season. But right before we finished the season, 3 people in the cast had caught COVID. And we had to quarantine. And since I wasn't vaccinated, I had to quarantine for 10 days while everybody else, not the people that caught it, but everybody else that was vaccinated, that they only had to quarantine for 5. And I was so mad. Not mad because I'm like, I still get to finish out the season. Like, I'm not tripping on none of that.
Feel good.
As long as I can finish it out. But let me tell you,
divine works.
God works in mysterious ways, or the divine works in mysterious ways. So in the process of me having to quarantine for 10 days, Nike hits me up. And it's so crazy that this quarantine happened when it did, because if nobody had caught it and we didn't have to quarantine, I would have been on set the day that Nike would have needed me to do this shoot. And I probably, unless they would have been willing to switch it around, I would have had to probably turn it down. And so I waited. So this was like a Thursday. And Monday, I went and got a COVID test and it came back negative. So I hit up Nike like, I'm interested. When do you need me to come in for this shoot? And they like, tomorrow. I said, set it up. Okay, cool. And so, no, they were like Wednesday. This was Monday. I got tested on Monday. So this was Tuesday. And they was like, we want you to come in tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I took my Tamara hair out and I got a new hairstyle to do the shoot that Wednesday. And then I had to take that out and put my gray and blue braids back in so that I could finish this last week of filming. And I was able to do all of these jobs, you know, when I was mad because I had to quarantine for 10 days, not realistically, but they wanted me to. But once I tested and knew I was fine, I took 2 tests.
That's it.
And I was like, so then I did the Nike thing without knowing that it was going to be as big as it is. I was like, oh my God. So then I finished that. And then we wrapped the season finale, and that just aired on Fox. So y'all can binge watch The Big Leap on Hulu. Give us them views too.
Check that out, The Big Leap. Check that out. Y'all ain't seen it already.
And now this Nike thing is happening. And so I came up the escalator and I saw the 1 section and I started crying. But then when I walked further into the floor and I saw the big picture up, I literally like lost my shit. I was like, oh my God. And it's something about that number 3. 3 is it.
Hey, the Trinity. Hey, it's something about that Trinity, yo.
3. So yeah, that's where I am right now. People keep asking me what's next. I don't know. I didn't even know that this Nike thing was next when I did The Big Leap. It kind of like it just lined up. It lined up.
Yeah.
And I'm not at a point in my life right now. I'm not where I'm focusing on what's next, because now I'm receiving the things that I've been praying for, and I want to live in those moments and appreciate those moments without, trying to rush it so I can hurry up and worry about what's next. Like whatever's next, it'll come when it's time to come. Like I'm just going to continue to do me. I'm going to continue to work hard. I'm going to continue to stay consistent, so yeah, I don't know what's next.
Facts, man. I hope y'all notebooks filled with them diamonds that my sis been dropping, yo. Especially just staying grounded in yourself, staying grounded with source. Man, God got you. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, when I say every time I think about it, I cry because I didn't realistically know that these things were possible. Like I would see it, so I know it would happen for people, but I didn't think that this was what was going to end up happening in my life. And I'm thankful for everybody that's poured into me, all of my teachers and all of my styles, my group. Shout out to Mad Rhythms and Creation. Shout out to Sammy Dyer, because that Sammy Dyer is where it all started.
Yeah.
And I just am thankful for it all.
Well, we definitely thankful for you and opening up and sharing your story. I know I can speak for a lot of people. I learned so much today, but man, I want to get into these questions. So first, you're so silly. I told you at the beginning. Don't look. I told you. Okay. So first question. This is
my
from,
shoe size is a size 5 in women. I just want to let them know that.
This is from Tamra. First question. She says, what would it take to break down finally the persistent, rigid gender roles in footwork?
Like for me personally, or what do I feel like would
I guess your opinion on what do you think it would take to break down the rigid gender roles in footwork?
Understanding that women are equal to men. Like a woman can be just as raw or even more raw. Like just because you're a guy, like yeah, guys be raw, but women can be too, and guys and women can be equal. And once people start to really understand that, is when I think that that'll change. Because women ain't weak. Women ain't weak. Like these women in the footwork world are raw. What?
Destroying dudes.
Women. I didn't see women ball up some of the guys before. So it's like, understand that these women are not half-assing and they will come with it.
Ooh, facts.
That's my opinion.
This next question, this is from Irina. She said, can you please share some knowledge regarding jazz and Chicago footwork connections?
Like jazz music?
I'm assuming maybe like jazz dance, maybe. I'm assuming. She said, yeah, anything, either music or the dance. Any connection between the two?
I feel like a lot of times when I hear certain tracks, they have sampled something that I've heard in a jazz song before. But since I'm a tap dancer, I'm familiar with a lot of jazz music, and like Footwork Kings used to dance to footwork jazz music. Like they would put a track under a jazz song, or so like really with the music, they sample a lot of jazz. And then if we're gonna talk about the dance, you can base a combo around a jazz step and create your own combo, combine the two. At least that's my take on it. Everything is my take. My answers are
it's all your opinion.
It's my take.
Lil Bit so crazy.
Because I don't want nobody to be like, Lil Bit said that this. Like, no, this is my opinion. My opinion.
Absolutely, sis. Yo, so next question. Oh, shout out to my bro. He said, what is a goal that you haven't accomplished that you feel would make you retire from dance, period?
The only thing that will make me retire from dance, period, is death. Me leaving this earth is when I will stop dancing.
Hey, I just
ain't no retiring. I mean, unless I physically am not able, like if my body is like, all right, we done. But if as long as my body can go, I'm going. And Charles, I'm like, even in the afterlife, I'm still gonna be dancing. A little bit, still gonna be a little bit. That still gonna be Donetta. Now I'm gonna be dancing wherever I'm at. So I guess nothing will make me retire, but goals that I haven't accomplished yet. As far as dancing, I would like to do some tours. I would like to do some videos, but like representing either tap or footwork, because I don't feel like they get the acknowledgement that they deserve. It's almost kind of like you have to be phenomenal at hip hop in order to, be in a music video, with the exception of like how y'all did footwork on tour with Madonna. Y'all were specialty acts.
Yeah.
I would like to do something like that. I want Meek Mill to bring me on stage so I can perform Dreams and Nightmares with him.
Hey, manifest is already put in the universe. It's already out there.
Shout out.
Let's go.
I'm gonna perform that with him one day. I would like to get a season 2, but I mean, really, I feel like I'm accomplishing the things that I want to, and it's happening slowly. So I haven't, while I'm enjoying the goals that I am accomplishing, I haven't really taken the time to think about what I haven't accomplished yet. But I do know that I would like to go on tour.
Amazing. This next question is from Marquise. He said, "Is you doing any footwork classes anytime soon?"
Not before the year is up, but more than likely at the top of the year. My body is telling me that I need to give it a second, because 5 months of filming and dancing on a floor that is not good, my body is like, all right, girl, you need to give us a second. So probably at the top of the year, let's say January, February-ish.
Nice. Okay. All right. Try to sneak up in that class too. So be on it. So this right here is my brother, Twingo brother, King Charles. He said, will you ever take on a prodigy to give someone the chances that you had?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's enough out here for all of us to eat. I don't need to keep it all for myself.
Thanks.
I don't need to keep it all for myself. And I would love for somebody, I would love a little me. I mean, not a little.
Right, because you big bit now.
I mean, eventually I want kids, but I would love to like be somebody's teacher or someone's mentor, and like I'm giving them, because then they would have to be the next tap and footwork if they gonna be, my prodigy.
Yep, the new breed.
Yeah, I'll drive them home if I have
to. So this shout out to we got your pan in the house. Shout out this from Mickey. She says, what is your best battle memory? Ooh.
What is my best battle memory? I would have to say the one when it was TS versus Creation at the Panic Room.
Oh, and Charles put that. He said that too. He was like, Panic Room. Alignment.
I didn't even see that.
Alignment.
But it was because it was like the energy was so crazy in there, but it wasn't like in a bad way. Like it felt so good.
That old school feel. That's what the Panic was.
Between that one and the very first time that I went to BG's. I was scared shitless the first time that I went to BG's, but it was like great because I was like, okay, we really finna do this. Like I'm really finna add this to my life. And it was just like, it was crazy to see, and it was just crazy to experience and be a part of. So like I say those two.
Super fire. And this right here, last question. This is from Melvin. He says, what are the hours like working a show for a full season, and does it affect your dancing? So what are the hours like?
The hours are crazy. Like, they could call you in at 6 a.m. to go through hair and makeup. You might go sit in your trailer for about 4 to 5 hours, possibly, before maybe not 4 to 5, but you would sit in your trailer for some hours before they call you to set. You'll be on set for hours. Like, I remember one time we had a 16-hour day, and we was there from like maybe 9 a.m. to 1 in the morning, just to come back the next day, probably at like 9 a.m. You can have 6 a.m. call, and you ain't getting out of there to like 7 o'clock at night. I feel like it affects your dancing, you know, if you aren't taking care of your body or doing self-care. But sometimes just the type of floor that you're dancing on, and if it's not good for your body, can like mess you up. So you gotta make sure that outside of that, you're doing just self-care on your body, whether it's stretching, hot bath, ice bath, whatever works for you. Like, I had a lot of episodes where that was dance heavy, that the one thing that got me through each take was biofreeze. Soon as we finished that take, I need some biofreeze before we about to go again, because like sometimes it's painful. But you gotta keep going. But it's like, while filming the show, your time is really not yours. Your scheduling is really not yours. Somebody might want to book you, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know, because I'm under contract, so I don't know if they're gonna call me in to film on this day or not. So it was kind of really hard for me to book things between the months of July and November, because I would know, because like they could give you an H by your name, which means hold that day. But if they want to call you in, they can. So even if you plan something for that day because they told you to hold, so if they give you hold, you don't have to go into work unless they call something. And like one day I had an H, and I had this whole day planned out, and then they sent me an email, a text message the night before, like, yeah, so you have rehearsal tomorrow 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So my whole day done. Any plan I had out the window. But I would do it all over again.
That's dope. Well,
I was over there, I was a student over there, and being around people that has acted for years and was on movies and shows and like famous, and I was like, I'm really acting with these people. Let me see how much I can learn while I'm in this experience. So, but yeah, those hours are crazy. A lot of no sleeps, or like you might get like 4 hours of sleep because you have to get up so early because you have to travel to where you have to film it. It was a lot on the body. It was a lot on the mind. It was a lot on the emotions. It was a learning experience. It was a trying experience, a humbling experience, but I'm grateful.
What's 5 tips that you would give to someone from all the experience and from your journey so far?
Just like for them to make it, or like to just
it could be for a dancer, it could be from somebody following their dreams, it could be for the women, it could be anything. Just 5.
I want to give this message, this first one to first I want to give this message to just like the kids from the hood that look like me. It is possible. It is possible. If you really want to do it, you can. No matter what you've gone through in life, and if you've gone through something, use that to make you, do it. It's possible, and I definitely say go after it if you have that dream. Don't give up. Stay consistent. You're never too good to be a student. You're never too good to learn something from someone. The gig is not yours until you've done it already. Some artists will send you home if your performance is not up to their liking. The gig is not yours until you've done it already. If you're doing a show, no matter how big or how little, always go your hardest, because one, you never know who's watching. You never know who's in the audience. I had so many students that like would half-ass in class, and I'm like, y'all don't even know who I am. I could be in here trying to recruit, and I will recruit none of y'all because y'all don't feel like just because we in practice, you don't have to dance for real. Always go hard, practice or show. You never know. You never know who's teaching you. You never know who's watching you.
Big facts.
Big facts.
And then like I'm gonna add some more. I don't even know if that was 5, but I'm gonna add some more because I'm really in the 4 agreements right now. Like in this industry, even if some things are personal, don't take things personal. Be impeccable with your word. Don't assume. And what is the 4th one? I always forget that 4th one. Impeccable with your word. Don't assume. Don't take things personal. Give me 2 seconds. I'm finna look that up real quick. Just because I feel like I gotta give it to y'all. And I'm tripping because I should know it. I read that book like once a year.
Dropping them jewels. I hope everybody get that in their notebook. Big over here dropping them big keys right now.
Always do your best. Always do your best. And I don't even know. I just said that. How I forget that was one of them. Always listen. So much. Okay, let me give you a little backstory of why I say this. So much can be taken away from you in the blink of an eye. My mom, when I talked about what happened to her when I was 3, she was a singer, she was a model, and she was a hair model. And she used to sing like with Aaliyah and R. Kelly sometimes, and she was in the church choir. Drunk driver hit the car that she was in, which is the one that I said killed my grandpa. Sent her to the hospital. She had to have 5 surgeries, with 2 of them being brain surgeries. She cannot model anymore. She cannot sing anymore. And she cannot be a hair model anymore. And that was all taken away in the blink of an eye, which is why you should always just go hard in whatever it is that you want to do, because you never know when something can be taken away from you. Never.
Never. That's the biggest. That's the biggest diamond right there.
Forever. I don't remember what we had before I was 3. I just know what it was like after 3, and it was not what I needed growing up. I needed the mom that I had before I was 3. And so, don't take time for granted. You think you have time. Time don't wait on nobody. Opportunity don't wait on nobody. When it shows up, you need to take it and show out and do your thing, because you just never know. You never
go
know.
hard or go home. Well, you may not have a home to go hard.
Go home. You gotta go hard.
Charles, stupid.
You gotta go hard though, because ain't no going home.
But no, hey,
go hard to go to somebody else's home until they tell you can't live there no more.
You're so funny. I can't with you.
Hey, shout out to Lil Bit. Thank you for closing us out with those diamonds, man.
Shout out to Lil Bit, even though I was back and forth. I'm so sorry.
No, trust me. Hey, I love my sister. I always been so proud of her growth, man. And anybody that, man, if y'all all heard, y'all definitely know. Like, that right there definitely should be a big motivation and inspirational boost to everybody, So right now I want to open this up for my brother Cross, with the
Crossfire and such, cuz.
Yo, what's the word and such, everybody? This Billboard Crossfire, aka Mr. Watch and Witness. Hope y'all enjoyed this great and loving interview, full of diamonds, full of jewels, man. Hope y'all take very great notes. But newsflash, December 18th, the Terror Dome season finale, TSFC, man, and also donations for the kids. So be sure to go to GoFundMe. AG has posted it up on his Facebook. So please donate as much as y'all can, and be sure to attend the event on the 18th of December. It's gonna be all flames. So shout out to AG and TSFC. Lab session coming real soon at my crib. Still getting everything sorted out. We'll keep you posted on that. Track Attack, still in the works. Still don't know who to pick, so That'll be in the works for that.
So,
That's about it. Happy New Year's, happy holidays.
hey, for sure, for sure. That's the news, my brother Crossfire. And
Back to you, Jerron.
indeed, thank you, brother, always. And little bit at this time, if it's something that you got that you want to promote at this time, like definitely drop your tags as far as your social media tags so people around the world can get connected with you for those that may not already be.
On Instagram is dance period a period little bit. On Facebook is Donetta Little Bit Jackson. Like I said earlier, if you haven't seen The Big Leap, it's on Hulu. You can binge watch the whole thing. And if you're in Chicago, go check out my campaign at the Nike store on Michigan, third floor. It's there until February.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Take a picture
And on the app.
with my picture and tag me. Oh yes, it's also on the Nike app, which the link is in Nike Chicago's bio on Instagram. So yeah, if you go, tag me, say hey.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Okay.
Go ahead, bro.
No, hey, I just need everybody to know that this is, 40 years in the making. We got a Black woman, you know what I'm saying, representing everything that she want to represent, you know what I'm saying, on ads and everything like that, you know what I'm saying? In these times, in these pandemics, in different types of warfare and stuff, she's persevering and stuff. Everybody needs to recognize what's possible out here, you know what I'm saying, and show love, you know what I'm saying, because it's gonna happen. You might as well jump on the bandwagon of love. You feel me?
And
the bandwagon of love right there.
And if you haven't done the challenge, do the challenge. Nike is reposting everybody's challenge. So because they right now they are very interested in the culture. And I'm trying to get them involved in our culture. So they need to see more of culture showing up.
The time is now.
And I want another shout out to Charles. Like, he spent so much time with me because he wanted to see what a tap dancer could do with footwork. So I hope that I've made you in creation proud.
He's seeing it. He's seeing it now. That flower blossom.
Yes. I appreciate all of y'all. I appreciate all the support and the love that I do get from the community. It means a lot. It's overwhelming in the best way. So just thank y'all.
We love you, Lil Bit.
I love y'all.
Big Bit.
That's Big Bit.
That's Big Bit, y'all. I keep telling y'all. Hey, that's Big Bit right there. BB. I was like, hey,
put some respect on her name. That's Big Bit. That she ain't little no more.
All cap. Hey,
I'm trying to stop by there this weekend and check out y'all your exhibition. I think my homegirl Bianca did y'all shoot, right?
Yes, the photographer.
Yeah. Dope. Real good. Hey, keep pushing, man. I ain't got no questions. I just got to tell you, keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Big facts, big facts.
Boo Dilla, you got something you want to promote stuff at this time?
Oh no, I just got it in. I'm like nice and sweaty right now. I'm about to go home.
Me and Boo finna get in the gym. He finna get me right.
Hey, don't eat the whole.
Hey, you get in the gym with Boo, you gonna be Big Bit for real. You gonna be swole Bit.
Swole Bit.
No, I don't really want to work on my arms as much. I just need, add,
right.
back.
You're gonna get that stomach right.
Hey, Charles.
He said you're gonna be big Bit for real.
Don't eat the homies.
That's cold, G. I'm still in it.
I'm still in it. If I see you in that hoodie come up missing.
Hey, don't worry. I got another one.
A video one day.
I got another one.
I got another one.
Well then, let me hold that then.
Let's battle for it.
See,
I ain't trying to get burnt by a little bit, dog.
Big Bit bangs.
Right. I don't want no problems.
Let me tell you,
Big Bit now.
Smoke the soles off my shoes. I'm gonna try though. I'm definitely gonna do my best. You just got some more. You got way more years of wisdom in the game than me, though.
Man, hey, wisdom is in all vessels, so it don't matter.
I be telling Charles and Boo the same thing. I'm like, I don't want no smoke from either one of you.
You got them big leap works
I'm
now,
weak as
so I
hell.
don't know.
See? I'm weak as hell.
You crazy? Get your
Big leap works.
I did. I was trying to get footwork on there so bad. I was on the choreographers. They let me footwork for like 5 seconds, but I'm like, I'm trying to get it in there. They like, maybe for season 2, we trying to stick with the tap for season 1. So
Yeah, season 2 gonna be
I'm on
we own that.
Hey, if they need
season 1.
hey, if they need a big swole dude, you know what I'm saying, on the show, just you know what I'm saying, tap me in.
It's so funny. Actually, they probably will. They had a few.
Hey, tap me in. I'm willing to do it. I ain't playing no games.
It's so funny.
We
But
out here, yo.
But yeah, we do want to appreciate you, sis, for taking the time out of your schedule. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Oh, I was gonna make time for this.
Right.
I ain't even gonna teach today because I wanted to do this. I got a sub.
That's thanks, man. Shout out, man.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to everybody around the world too, around the globe, tuning in every week. You know what I'm saying? For
right, episode 71. Y'all don't understand how
episode 71, yo.
Like it's going up, man. This is crazy, dog. This is crazy, man. But yeah, happy New Year's to everybody. Oh no, it ain't Happy New Year's yet, man. We got we got two more big shows too. We ain't telling y'all about that one either. Just know it's going up.
It's going
just know it's all flame. That's how all flame.
Yep.
But on another note, we about to get ourselves up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Inspired, motivated, peace, love, and happiness. Everybody.
Love everybody. Everybody be safe.
Thank y'all. Be safe.